What's the problem with airdrops that has led, in your view, to this rising meta, like points mania, basically, is the best way I think I can put it where we're at right now?
Yeah, it's hard to choose just one, but two of the biggest drivers are, one, the ability to directly influence the consumer user behaviors that align with business impact, growth, revenue, whatever those metrics are that the business is optimizing for. Super relevant quote with that in mind is the Uniswap CEO, Hayden, after the Uniswap airdrop, said, "There will never be another airdrop like this again." And what he meant is every airdrop from then out was going to be farmed to some degree. And by publishing these points programs, businesses are helping users understand exactly what they need to do to access points. Mm-hmm. And, associated with this, kind of moving to number two, they're able to adjust those criteria and figure out what actually drives business impact prior to giving away all of the token or publishing immutable tokenomics on chain that then can't be modified to make sure that the token is driving growth in the future.
The issue that we have with airdrops are, one, you need to know tokenomics. You said it yourself. You do an airdrop, you now are creating a mutable framework for your tokenomics that, I guess you could change it through governance and voting and whatnot, but we can't underestimate the challenge in developing tokenomics. It's very hard to do. Every time I ask somebody, like, tell me about a project that's done tokenomics well, they can point to a project, but then they're also like, and here's the issues, right? So I'm stealing this quote from you. You said it. You told me, I think last time we talked, that tokenomics are a social science. And so it's so, malleable that makes it very difficult, especially early on in a project. So that's an issue with airdrops. So big regulatory concerns with airdrops, right? So, and only growing regulatory concerns. Now, hopefully, within the next few years, those regulatory concerns are finally addressed and we don't have to worry about it anymore. But right now, with so many regulatory concerns, there's been a lot of projects, particularly projects in the US, where I know you're located, that have shied away from an airdrop. And as a result, they might look to a points program instead because they don't have the regulatory issues. So those two, the ability, I think what we're saying here is a points program will allow you to delay tokenomics, not to say you can delay it forever, and to get around any regulatory issues. And I guess the other thing is that you can sort of avoid a lot of the on-chain complexities like gas. That
100%.
Right? What in your mind has led to this? Like, all of a sudden, it feels like the classic crypto saying, was it gradually and then suddenly? That's where it feels like we are. Like, points was so gradual, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere.
100%. I think we have to keep talking about both the issues in tandem at this point in the conversation. Yeah. On the regulatory front, we could talk about ApeCoin for a second. They attempted to both reward ape community participation historically with their airdrop, and they endeavored to create a mechanism to create ongoing value for apes and mutants through staking. But ultimately, the math wasn't done right with an eye towards social science and stake rates, such that the unstaked ape pool accrues roughly the same return as the Bored Ape and the Mutant Ape stake pools. And so there's effectively no incentive relative to the token, at least, for someone to stay in the community after they've received their airdrop. And that's a good example of something that exact mechanism would have been a little bit challenging, but Points enables them to test that, learn what stake rates actually look like, collects data from the community to improve the model. And then it's important to note that they're also a great example because on the regulatory side, they've been under major scrutiny just due to their level of brand in the space and have to be extra careful about not touching or adjusting tokenomics or really contributing to the DAO in any way post-launch. And so, we'll talk about others today, like a Blur, that are operating in a much less regulated way. So it's not pervasive. It's not like regulatory is the only thing. It's regulatory and it's point/token model lock-in that is prevented.